On February 2, 2006, my life was supposed to end. My body was unconscious for about 30 hours. But despite this, I saw and understood everything that was happening around me. I heard the doctor tell my husband that he could no longer do anything to save me. However, I was still existing. Anita Moorjani, an Indian by origin, tells about such an event from her life. Soon after her birth, the Moorjani family moved to Hong Kong. Anita studied at a Catholic school there, where she first learned about the existence of God and that some people go to heaven after death. However, many of the ideas formed in this school, Anita had to change many years later, after she experienced clinical death. The doctors told my family that they had to say goodbye to me. I fought cancer for 4 years, which was destroying my body. During this time, my weight dropped to 38 kilograms, and I could no longer move on my own. I either lay down or was transported in a wheelchair. And on the morning of February 2, 2006, I fell into a coma. The doctors told my family that they had to say goodbye to me, recalls Anita Moorjani. Everything that the doctors said in the last hours of her life, Anita learned not from her relatives. She heard it all herself. She continued not only to hear. She saw how worried her loved ones were, how the doctors fussed over her body. I felt that at some point I began to separate from my consciousness. Finally, I floated out of my body destroyed by the disease. I felt so light and good that I wanted to jump for joy. I wanted my relatives to share my happiness. But at that very moment, my husband Danny and my mother were begging the doctor to do anything to prolong my life, says Anita Moorjani. Seeing her relatives suffering, Anita tried to console them. She told her husband that she had never felt so good before. At first, Anita thought she was saying all these words out loud. However, she soon noticed that not a single sound was coming out of her mouth. She had no voice. While Anita Moorjani was trying in vain to console her relatives, a senior doctor appeared in the room. Anita remembered the inscription on his clothes. That is how she learned that his name was Dr. Cheng. In the meantime, Dr. Cheng sent Anita to the intensive care unit. The woman's relatives remained in the corridor. Anita was near them, hoping to find some way to inform her husband and mother of her presence. Unexpectedly for herself, Anita Moorjani discovered, her being had expanded to such an extent that she no longer felt the difference between herself and everyone around her. It was as if she had become everything and everyone around her. Anita knew what the doctors were doing to her body. She also saw the exhausted faces of her family and felt their fear. To her surprise, Anita learned that her brother Anup was now sitting in a plane seat flying from Bombay to Hong Kong. She could also see her sister-in-law Mona, who, being a Buddhist by faith, had gathered a group to pray for the recovery of her relative. Anita Moorjani was shocked and she saw her dead father next to her. And although Anita had a tense relationship with her father in life, now his presence calmed and brought joy. I greeted my father. This greeting was not out loud, but as if from my head. Because communication there, where I was, took place through emotions and sensations. But this did not prevent me and my father from clearly understanding each other. My father said that he was with me all the time, says Anita Moorjani. After talking with her father, Anita felt someone else's presence. Her best friend Sony, who had passed away 3 years earlier, was also with her. Sony told Anita that she had also been with her all the time while she was battling her illness. Anita met other people here too. She came to understand that she was connected to them and were an integral part of the one whole. Anita imagined her entire life as a separate pattern woven from threads. Each thread marked a person with whom Anita had crossed paths, starting from childhood. At the same time, the pattern of Anita's life was only a small part of the patchwork quilt of the universe. I realized that the universe has always existed. It has no beginning and no end. And I am just a part of this universe. I asked myself, where did this revelation come from? From Krishna or maybe from Jesus? And then I remembered one conversation with my mother, says Anita Moorjani. When Anita began studying at a Catholic school, all the religious traditions that were in her family were questioned. One day, Anita came home from school and told her mother about her conversation with Sister Maria. Sister told the girl that if she wanted to go to heaven, she should attend church and study the Holy Scriptures. After listening to this, Anita's mother told her daughter that in time she would learn that in their religion, too, there is a new life after death. In reality, the truth is unknown to anyone, not even Sister Maria. Religion is only a way to find this truth. It is only a path, and each person chooses it for himself, explained her daughter's mother. Now, recalling this conversation, Anita felt like she knew the truth. She realized that God is not an entity. He is a consciousness that permeates the entire universe. Anita Moorjani came to her senses on February 3rd. In the ward, she saw her brother Anup. Anita told him how she saw him on the plane, greatly puzzling him. When Dr. Cheng came to Anita's room, she greeted him as if he were an old friend. She thanked him for doing so much to save her. The doctor was surprised by this, because Anita could not see him in the state she was in. A few months later, the doctors told me that I was completely cured. Not believing what had happened, they made me take test after test, which confirmed that I was healthy. My attitude to the world and to life also changed. Now even a small insect seems divine to me. And after my return, I cannot truly grieve over someone's death. Now I know for sure that no one disappears anywhere, but is only transferred to another reality, says Anita Moorjani.